man who has written more books than I have read, Charles Clarke.
How y'all doing today? Very good. Good. Let's give the past two speakers a round of applause. I think they're excellent material. Everybody stand up if you would, please, and fold your arms in front of you. Fold your arms in front of you. And how many of you have your right arm on top? Not your hand, but your arm. How many have your right arm on top? Say yes. Yes. Only two? How many of you have your right arm on top? Say yes. Yes. Okay. How many have your left arm on top? Say yes. Yes. Well, not many more lefts. I happen to have it right on top. Now, switch. If you had right on top, put left on top. If you had left on top, put right on top. How many of you find that a bit awkward to do it that way? I do. Okay. Yes. Now make a memory point of which one's on top right now. Which one is on top, make a memory point, and then take them apart, shake it a little bit, and put them back the way you last had them, the opposite way that you usually do. And what you did a kind of like this, like I do, that too. A stutter step, I call it. How many of you find it awkward? A little bit awkward. Okay. In fact, I sometimes have some people say, I can't do it. You know, put your hands together, if you would, please, with one thumb on top, in like a prayer position. And how many of you have your left thumb on top? Say yes. Yes. Right thumb on top. Say yes. 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 Okay. That one's about a 50-50. This has nothing to do with being left-handed or right-handed. Switch. If you had left on top, put right on top. If you had right on top, put left on top. How many of you find that awkward? Yes. Make a memory point, which one's on top, take them apart and put them together the last way you had them. What my hand does, it feels like everything is shifted to one side. Anybody have that kind of shift also? Go ahead and sit down, and what was the point of that? Anybody, what was the point of that?
So the brain change is awkward.
Yeah, change is awkward. Okay. We get into habit patterns. Yours is correct too. We get into habit patterns, and we stay in those particular habit patterns. Change is awkward, and we keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. You know that particular phrase. I have a little quiz there for you, 5 questions, and I don't know, some of you have taken that already, some of you haven't. We'll go through that. And what is your opinion on these? This is from my most recent book. It's about 2 weeks old now, Lies and Myths We Have Been Taught in Selling, How to Double Your Sales Immediately and Not Torture Your Buyers. How many of you have ever been tortured by a salesperson before? There's not a person in this room that has not been tortured by a salesperson before. How many of us are in sales? How many of you in the room are in sales? I'm using the broad definition. Even a dentist is in sales. I mean, we're all in sales. How many of us, I'm putting myself in this also, how many of us have ever tortured our potential buyers without even knowing it? Without even knowing it. What I'm suggesting is that the more yeses that you have, the more that you're into torturing. How many of you have 5 yeses? Did you total them up? How many of you have 4 yeses, 3 yeses? That the more we have yeses, that the more we're into torturing our buyers without even knowing it. Well, let's see. Let's start with the very first one. The very first one, as Zig Ziglar used to say, it's more important to sell the sizzle than the steak. And again, I'm using this broad definition of selling, that we're all in sales. How many of you put a yes on that? It's more important to sell the sizzle than the steak. And sometimes we're just programmed by that. Why did you say yes to that?
Well, a lot of times you're selling your worth more than the product.
Okay, all right. How many put no to that? Now, we haven't agreed on one thing yet today, right on top, left on top, or anything. Why did you put no to that?
I think they're both equally important.
Okay, all right. And in my work as you introduced me, my life work has been bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers, personality selling and personality marketing. And in that, I describe different people's personality. Back when I was doing this 30 plus years ago, that a lot of people just had not been exposed to, like, even the DISC system, the DISC. How many of you have been exposed to the DISC system? Myers-Briggs systems of ESPNJ, etc. Drivers expressive, amiable, and analyticals. caloric, sanguine, melancholic, and phlegmatic temperament. That one actually is 2,400 years old. Hippocrates, the famous theologian and philosopher, came up with those 4 categories. And so 4-cell personality analysis is not anything new, but it's something that is violated every single day. Here's what I'm suggesting. In my world of animals, bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers, that the bull and the owl are more non-emotional people. In fact, turn in the book, and I put this in front of you. If you want to purchase it, you can purchase it for $30. If you don't want to, just leave it on the desk, but I want to refer to certain things in here. That if you would turn, please, to the chart that it's on page number 23, that your bull, your owl, your lamb, and your tiger. In fact, in your handout that I've got, it's the second page in, you have in there the definition of bull, owl, lamb, and tiger. What I'd like you to do is to quickly just take that's the second page in, and which is yours? Read the definition of which of those. Again, this is not anything new now, it used to be, but the newness is that it is so much easier than taking a half-a-day test. I'm suggesting when we first met at a meeting a few weeks ago, I was able to go around the room and tell the person's bull, owl, lamb, or tiger, and I can do that here with about 95% accuracy. I might miss one in having somebody secondary, their primary, their primary, their secondary. So if you want to turn to page 23, and then the following pages, it gives you more definitions of what the bull, owl, lamb, and tiger is. If you want to just look at page number 27 and beyond, it gives more of a full definition of the bull, the owl, the lamb, and the tiger. Let's look at this and see where you are. It is not gender-based. Half of the bulls are women. Half of the lambs are men. It's not gender-based. Bulls are bottom line, get to the point, business first. Somewhat abrasive in their personality. How do we get our personality? It's a combination of heredity and environment. Can you change your personality? I'm suggesting not any more than you can change your eye color from blue to brown. You can modify when you're with somebody, and that's the point of this, that when I'm with a bull, I become the bull. When I'm with the owl, I become the owl. When I'm with the lamb, I become the lamb. And I'm with the tiger, I become the tiger. And I'm suggesting that is truly communication. So how many of you are married to an opposite or have been? Currently? Opposite personality? Yeah. And back when I used to do marriage counseling, and back when I was a professor, that we'd find that bulls are attracted to lambs. Yep. Now, the bull is the bottom line, get to the point, business first. Does this mean, this is one of the 37 myths in the book, how many of you say this means that a person is defensive? Well, raise your hand if you think that a person is being defensive. We've been taught so many of these myths, and they're ingrained into us, almost into our subconscious mind. And I'm suggesting this. This is a comfortable position for the bull. And it's not a defensive position at all. It's actually a buying sign for the bull. Everybody get like this, if you would, please. Take all the smile off your face, in the tight body language position, and how many of you would say that feels comfortable to you? That is a comfortable position for you. That's actually a buying sign for the bull. Now, when a lamb owl gets like this, it could be too much air conditioning, or it could be a defensive sign. The owl is the very analytical, cross the T's, dot the I's. Everybody take the owl position, if you will, please. And I'm suggesting that I would be talking to an owl, I would take this position if they're in this position. Here's a reverse owl. A reverse perch. The lamb is a pleaser. They don't like fights. They don't like arguments. They don't like confrontation. Now, what's interesting about a lamb, though, they do confrontation sometimes to loved ones, but out of the public, they really don't do that. You're still owling. So the lamb's body language position is smile on the face, head bobbing. Ask me if I'm ready to purchase this. Just ask me that question. Am I ready to purchase this?
Are you ready to purchase this?
Oh, no. And a lamb will actually do that head bobbing and still say those words of no on that. And a tiger is a fast decision maker, high risk taker. They get distracted by shiny objects. As I'm talking right now, some of you with tiger tendencies are thinking about something else, and then you'll come back, and then you go visit the planet Xeon for a little bit, and then you'll come back a little bit. And the population is divided into approximately 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%.
Wow.
Now, I threw that extra 25% in there to see if tigers were paying attention, because else we're going, wait a minute, you get, yeah, not accurate. If I always sell the way I would like to be sold, I could be losing at least half to 3/4 of my sales. What are your thoughts about that? How many of you tend to agree with that? Going back to the sizzle and the steak, I'm suggesting that bulls and owls want the steak, not the sizzle. Tigers and lambs have a higher probability of wanting the sizzle and not the steak. How about the one of you have to earn the right to close? How many of you circled yes on that one? You have to earn the right to close. Why did you put yes on that?
You need to build value in the product.
You have to build value in the product. And here's what I'm suggesting. I would rather build value for my product. I would rather earn the right to close, but if I haven't earned the right to close, I'm closing anyway. See, because earning the right to close is subjective. It's subjective in my mind. If I sell suits, I would say the person's tried the suit on or even looked at it in the rack. Do you want to buy it? How many of you think that's too pushy to say, you're looking at the suit, do you want to buy it? They come in to, what is your business that you're involved in?
Landscape.
Okay. And a person has looked at landscaping, and do you sometimes miss an opportunity to not say, do you want to buy it? Somebody's in, say it's a builder, and they're looking for maybe a $100,000 job, and that would you try to close them that day? How many of you, if you were in landscaping, you would try to close that builder on buying that $100,000 job today? How many of you probably would not? How many of you would not? Okay. And why not?
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
I would think it was too forward,
Okay.
too
pushy?
presumptuous
Yeah,
to
yeah,
try to close
yeah.
it.
If you would turn to, maybe somebody can help me out and look at what page is the commitment on. And it says, I will 100% of the time, all the time, with everyone, always, maybe page 48, ask, what do you think about going ahead with this today? Here's what I'm suggesting. Time out. I'm not trying to be presumptive in saying that you have to do this, you should do this. I'm just saying this is something to think about. That usually people, even after a half-an-hour presentation of mine, they start thinking differently. What page is that on, please? Thank you. 48. Page 48, look at the commitment. I'm suggesting if you did that just for the rest of this year, for a month and a half, how many of you think if you decided that I will for just a month and a half, ask everybody, what do you think about going ahead with this today, that I'd have a higher probability of making more sales? How many of you believe you would? How many of you think you'd offend somebody? Yeah, okay. And here's what I'm suggesting.
Say again?
This is what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting, with having just looked at you and hearing you right now, really didn't even get to shake your hand when you first came in, I'm suggesting with your personality, you could not offend anybody. I'm suggesting there are some people in here, such as myself, that could offend. But I'm suggesting this also, I'm suggesting this, that if you ask somebody, what do you think about going ahead with this today? It's all in the presentation. You see, hear what I mean? That you can either go, want to buy it? Or you can say, so you've been looking at this, the landscaping, the whole landscaping package. Now, I know you haven't decided on everything yet, but would you feel comfortable, I'm taking your role now, would you feel comfortable with signing this subject to your giving me a check today for maybe $10,000, and subject to your deciding if there's anything else you want to add or subtract from this, and subject to your agreeing to the final price? Would that be too pushy? Now, some of us think that it would be, some of us think it wouldn't be, but how many of you will just do this? For the month and a half, decide that you will ask everybody, what do you think about going ahead with this day, or some facsimile. Look at one of the handouts I've got in there. Turn it like a tent card, if you would please. And I'm giving you this. It's got killer closes on the back of this. Killer closes for different personalities. So fold it up, please, and put it in front of you, that you'll be staring at this. And I'm looking at what you're looking at, and you're looking at what I'm looking at. And on the inside, killer closes for different personalities. How many of you have ever heard of, and I'm guessing most everybody in the room, have ever heard of the Ben Franklin close? The Ben Franklin close, the T-bar close. How many of you have ever heard of that? Ben Franklin, it's in his autobiography, actually, where that's how he makes decisions. Puts things to the right, things to the left, to go with it or not to go with it. I'm suggesting that particular close only works on owls. The very analytical, cross the T's, dot the I personality. If you try to do a T-bar close, a Ben Franklin close with a tiger, they're going to wonder what they're going to have for dinner that night. And a bull is resentful to that. So I'm suggesting if you take 47 different closes and you always use the same close on everybody, that it's going to backfire on you with some people. Feel, felt, found close. Anybody know the feel, felt, found close? Well, yes, right. You want a lower price on this, but other people have felt that way as well. And what we have found, and the bull will interrupt you immediately and go, I don't care what you have felt or found, just give me the lower price. And they're actually resentful for that particular close. Let's look at a couple more of the myths. In selling big ticket items, it is rare for somebody to buy the first day, give a check, and sign a contract the very first day. How many put yes to that? The same people, basically, over and over, again, are kind of on some of these clumps. How about buying a $400,000 home? Is it rare for somebody to buy a $400,000 home? And I know nobody is in that particular business in this room right now. Is it rare for somebody to buy a $400,000 home the very first day they would see the home? How many say it's rare? Okay. Why do you think it's rare?
Large ticket item.
Large ticket item. And what else? Yes?
We did it once and we had buyer's remorse.
Okay, all right. And those of you that said no, why do you think it's not rare?
Lots of times if you're changing cities, you're at a tight timetable to
Yeah,
find a new place
okay.
to live.
Which two animals do you think have a higher probability of buying the first day, whether it is a brand new home, an existing home, whether they're already in that city or transferring to that city? Which two animals do you think have a higher probability of buying the first day? You're right. You got it. You got the formula. Bulls and tigers, tigers and bulls. Bulls are fast decision makers. You might want to make a note on that in your notes. They're fast decision makers and they're high risk takers. In there, that page that we were just on, it has how to close a bull, how to negotiate with a bull, an owl, a lamb, or a tiger. Tigers are impulsive and compulsive buyers. How many of you agree that everybody buying a $400,000 home, just using that as an example, would do a lot of research on that? How many of you would agree with that? And you know what you just did? You projected yourself into that. That's what you would do. All right, here's what I'm suggesting. Somebody buying a $400,000 home, if they're a ready, willing, and able buyer, they decided to move, they like the product, and they can afford it, or think they can afford it. That's a whole different subject, isn't it? That they would, having seen it the very first time, want to do it then. Bulls want to just get rid of it. What I mean, get rid of it, get rid of the decision and do it. It's interesting at grocery stores to watch people, the line that says 7 items or less, and the bull that has 15 items, and they don't have any problem with that, but let somebody else do that in front of them, they will hear about it. Bulls sometimes also talk with sign language on the road, if you know what I mean. The Texas howdy. All right, here's what I'm getting at. Not everybody thinks like you. They should, but they don't. That was a bull phrase, they should, but they don't. Now, if you say, Charles, if you recommending about different closes, why would you say this about always asking everybody, what do you think about going ahead with this today? Well, it's how you say it. How many of you believe you yourself have left money on the table by not having asked everybody, what do you think about going ahead with this today?
I leave money in the table.
Yeah, do you like it? Oh, you're proud of it.
It's a strategy
Yeah.
that I've used for having repeat customers. Is to never hit the high end.
Okay. Not sure exactly what he said or meant by that, but kind of. What kind of repeat business do you have the very first time? If you don't close somebody the first day, what do you think the chance of them coming back would be? 50%. Are you hearing 50%? Pardon me?
0.
Yeah, it gets into that around that 10% range in terms of them coming back. Think how many times you've been into retail sales and buying, on the buying end, and you say, I'll be back. Here's what I'm suggesting. Why not close everybody today? It is always important to talk about social first and business later, and it is paramount to build common ground with your prospect or client. How many put yes on that? Social first. Okay. You know the drill already, right? How many of you would not, you as a buyer, would not want, if you're buying an automobile, would not want me, this automobile salesperson, or is somebody in the room in physical, you do memberships at a spa? Is that right? What is your business?
Oh, no, not my business.
Isn't somebody in the room, Kurt, that sells, works at a spa and sells memberships? Well, here's what I'm suggesting. Some people, whether it's buying an automobile, buying a yacht, buying a watch at a jewelry store, they don't want the social first. It's bulls and owls don't want social first. A bull doesn't want you to build common ground. The bull, you see the bull coming in to your place of business, whatever it is. We have a diversified group here. And it's springtime, summertime. And you see a set of golf clubs kind of sticking out in of the window in the back of the car. And you say, oh, I noticed that you've got golf clubs in there. Where are you going to be playing golf today? Metaview, what's the price of this? Oh, I see. How's your game? It's good. Do you know the price? And I'm suggesting that you build common ground with a bull by not trying to build common ground.
Yes.
What do you think about that? You had a little smile on your face and then you said yes to that. I'm suggesting that bulls and owls, these are only probability statements. These are not absolute, but they're about 90% level of probability. How many of you yourselves would prefer not to have the salesperson, whatever it is that they're selling, not to talk social first? Why?
Because I'm there to make a purchase, not to be making friends.
You don't want a new best friend.
Don't need it.
Yeah.
Just looking for the
Yeah.
purchase.
I have a neighbor that he was purchasing an automobile, and the salesperson actually said, you know, I want to make a friend with you. And he said, I don't want you to be my friend. I will go somewhere else. How many of you could believe that's true? That's true. We have all these myths in terms of our own personality. We sometimes, one of the reasons why I would not always ask, what do you think about going ahead with today? It has to do with, you want to give me a few? Fear of rejection. My judgment is that they are not ready to purchase. That I would not do that myself if I were in their shoes. It would be too pushy to 100% of the time, all the time, with everyone, always ask, what do you think about going ahead with this today? We've alluded to this already, but what do you think about this?
That's good stuff.
How many of you think it'd be too pushy? Okay, and why do you think it'd be too pushy?
Just personally, it's kind of like sales, I don't know, don't want to be friends first, and it just feels, I
Okay.
like to think.
Okay, all right.
Think it over.
Okay. Do you think you could get out of your comfort zone and ask everybody, what is your line of business? What do you do?
I'm an administrative assistant, so I'm not doing sales right
Okay.
now, but I think it would be out of my comfort
Okay.
zone for sure to do that.
Is she in sales? Anytime when she comes in contact with anybody internally, she's in sales. If you want somebody in the company to do something, you've got to ask them to do that. But I'm suggesting, and my point is that if I could just be a catalyst today to get you to think differently about the sales process, and we're all in sales, and to get yourself out of the way, if you will, that you would drastically increase your sales. Your presentation that you gave, I mean, how much more would you create business for the company that eventually, if you wanted to resell the company, that you would be able to create the value for the company? Let me give you a final kind of a summary story. I was in Chicago. No, you know, I'm going to give the Philadelphia story. I was in Philadelphia a number of years ago, and I had done an all-day seminar with a company. In fact, it was a chemical company. And I wanted to see what the brand new Cadillacs looked like. And so I went to this brand new Cadillac dealership, and I met this man named Vinny. And he started or ended every sentence with "yo." "Yo, how you doing, yo?" And he was a bull, and he looked like Joe Pesci. Remember in My Cousin Vinny? You know? I'm in the brand new Cadillac showroom. Inside the car, the window's down, the car door's open, and he goes, "Yo, how you doing?" Now, he had a tag on there that told me that he was one of the salespeople with the company. And otherwise, I'd have thought it was just you walking up and said, "Yo, how you doing?" You know? And so he said, "Yo, how you doing?" And I said, "Good." And he said, "Yo, I'm Vinny," and gave me his last name. And I gave a very waspy answer. I said, "I'm Charles Clarke III." Now, if I'd have been really doing my bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers, I'd have gone, "Yo, how you doing? I'm Charlie Dog." Okay, or something like that. And so I said, "I'm Charles Clarke III." And he goes, "Mr. Charlie," he starts calling me Mr. Charlie. "Mr. Charlie, how do you like this particular Cadillac?" I said, "I love it." He goes, "Yo, let's do it." This was all in about 20 seconds period of time that he's closing on me. Well, at that time I was living in Tampa, Florida. And I said, I should have said, "Yo, no," but I said, "No." And he says, "Yo, why not?" Now, the reason what the Tampa, Florida has to do with it is that I thought if I was going to be buying a brand new Cadillac, I could be buying it there and I'd still get the same kind of discount, whatever they were doing that day. And that's a whole different discussion about negotiating for the bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers. If you want to look in the summary of negotiating and see what page that would be on, how you negotiate with different animals. But back to the story. He says, "Yo, let's do it." And I said, "No." Now I'm standing outside of the Cadillac and standing with him, and he goes, I said, "What'd you say?" And he said, I said, "Yo, let's do it." I said, "Well, no, I'm not interested in doing that." And he said, "Yo, why not?" He says, "You said you liked the Cadillac." I said, "No." And I repeat myself, that if I were going to buy it, I'd be buying it in Tampa. I wouldn't be buying it here. He goes, "Yo, we ship." I mean, he kept on going, but now we're only into it about 60 seconds, and finally he says, "You know what, Mr. Charlie, you've got me convinced today that you're not going to do anything with me today. Are you going to do anything maybe next week, next month, next year?" And I said, "No, I'm just really not interested in doing that." He said, "Yo, have a nice day." In about 2-minute period of time, he had already discarded me accurately. Well, I started stalking him. Politely. I walked around and listened to what he was saying. And there were 2 ladies they were there, and he walked up to them, and they were sisters. I could tell that because that's what they said. And so he goes, "Yo, how you like this particular, I'm Vinny, how you like this particular Cadillac?" And they both said yes. And he said, "What do you think he said?" "Yo, let's do it." Yo, let's do it. And they said no, and then he walked on to a couple, and he said to the couple, "How do you like this Cadillac?" The man said, "I really like it." And what do you think Vinny said? "Yo, let's do it." And the man said, "Well, you better have your pencil really sharp." And Vinny said one of the corniest things I've ever heard anybody say. I just bought a brand new pencil sharpener." I go, "Oh my goodness, you know, I don't think this man could sell ice cubes to Eskimos, as the commercial goes. And so I was going to Budapest, Hungary the next day on business for 2 weeks. And that's kind of interesting. I was translated there in 10 different languages, but that's a whole different story. Sometimes people would laugh when I was in a serious subject, and it was interesting. But bottom line is I went into the sales manager and I said, I'm going to Budapest, Hungary the next day, tomorrow. And I wanted to know if I could call you later tonight and just see if he closed this couple. He goes, you must not know who he is. I said, well, he used the name Vinny. Is that a fictitious name? He goes, no, that's Vinny, all right. He was the #1 brand new Cadillac salesperson for all of a tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, not small states. #1 brand new Cadillac salesperson. And then he showed me his wall of plaques. I'm suggesting what Vinny had was he took himself out of the formula and he was asking everybody, you do the steps of the critical path of selling, and I'm wrapping up, of meet and greet and connect with their animal personality, of qualify for ready, willing, and able, demonstrate, overcome objections and close the sale. I suggest the most important is, yo, let's do it. What do you think about going ahead with this day of closing the sale? Now, I thought, maybe it tells you something about my ego. I thought, wow, if I could have had a week with this person, or even a 3-day intensive session with him, I could have really increased his sales. He was already #1. But how many of you think maybe if he knew more about bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers, that's my registered trademark, just like Coca-Cola is, or McDonald's, how many of you think he might have even done better in terms of customer service and connecting with them if he had have known a little bit more of finesse? And the answer would be yes. Yes. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being with you today. Again, I'm not trying to be pushy. I would never do that. But if you're interested in purchasing, purchase it. If you're not interested, just leave it on your desk. But you can purchase the book if you wanted to at a later date, or for Christmas presents for going to Amazon.com or on Kindle. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.